a lot of times in school we think that, the only barometer for future success is what happens in the classroom. And I know in my life I learned a whole lot more outside of the classroom than I ever learned inside of it. Not that what happens in the classroom isn't valuable, because it is valuable. But when you're a coach, 2 or 3 times a week, you're going to have an authentic task in which kids are going to be out there, and it's viewed by the public. And how those kids perform and behave and cooperate comes across on those fields. And I think it's really the opportunity for kids to demonstrate and learn those intangibles.
To me, there's 3 things that an athletic program provides to the school. One is the idea of school spirit and team concept, meaning you're working together as a part towards a common goal. That's an incredibly valuable lesson for our kids to learn. Indeed, one of our competencies talks about collaboration. So much of what they do here at school is about individual achievement, independent achievement, so that when they get the opportunity to work as part of a team, that's a valuable experience. So through athletics, we try and teach them, and through the class, through our academics too, with the competencies, we try and teach them what does it mean to be a good member of a team, and what does a high-performing team look like.
I think student athletes learn a lot about collaboration, teamwork. They do have to learn about organization because they have to organize their time quite effectively. But they also need to be problem solvers. They need to be able to follow direction. They need to be able to make decisions on the fly, given the knowledge that they've had. So I think that transfers very nicely into what they do in the classroom every day.
We're unstoppable, our team's unstoppable. Let's get busy and do it.
The other part is the idea of work ethic. I think of, I'll say 3, of our most successful athletes. Rebecca Soni, who was an Olympic gold medal winner, and the Rosa brothers, Jim and Joe. When I used to drive to school in the morning, let's say it's about 5:45, 6:15, I would drive to school and I would see the Rosas running down Rabbit Hill Road. They had a work ethic that was unparalleled. So not only were they athletically talented, but they had the desire and the drive to be the best at what they do. Rebecca was the same way. She came and spoke to our kids last year in an assembly, and she said to them she soon realized that there were 3 things she needed to do. She needed to be a student, she needed to swim, and she really liked having a social life. She could only do 2 of the 3. So for her high school time, her social life took a back seat. She was dedicated to her sport and her academics. And she ended up with a scholarship to University of Southern California and is now the face of USA Swimming. So work ethic, over and above their talents athletically.
Hey now, fire getting down, we got pride, show back,
It's a chance for kids to find another connection to school. I've noticed as a building principal that when the teams are doing well, or certain teams doing well, the kids are rallying around that team. It becomes something that brings the staff and the students together. Last year when our basketball team made a nice run, through the sections, through the sectional semifinals, we went to a home game and just about every kid I could think of was in the building, and almost all the staff members were there. I had as many staff members at the game as I do at a faculty meeting. And I think that's something that, you can't put a price on how important that is, that those kids feel connected to the school. And I think athletics are one of the many ways that we do that.
And the third thing is character. When our kids go out and they wear a uniform that says North on their chest, they are the most visible ambassador of our school. And the way they act when nobody's really watching them, it reflects on the entire school. I tell the kids when we meet with the athletes every season, when you go out, you not only represent your team, your coach, you represent your school, you represent the athletic director, you represent me. If you misbehave, it's a direct reflection on me. So the character is an important thing. So if we can, those 3 pieces balanced together are what I feel the function of our sports program is.
What was appealing about the West Windsor-Plainsboro athletic director position was the quality of athletic programs. The enormity of the programs was really appealing. We did not have fencing or diving, women's golf in my other district, and I just loved how comprehensive the program was. The facilities were beautiful, and I had a great feel when I came to both schools for a visit. So just felt like a good fit for me. It's a tremendously large position. The 4 schools is a lot to balance, but the idea that the middle schools and the high schools can articulate through my leadership was also very appealing.
We looked for someone who was passionate about both academics and athletics, someone who had a thorough understanding of what it meant to be a coach, someone who has had experience working with student athletes and held very high values for the sportsmanship and the athletic competition of our student athletes on the field.
I see the role of the athletic director in the district as someone who provides a vision for all of the athletic activities that occur in the district, and to be the face of all of those programs, to be able to interface with parents, students, teachers, coaches, and to be able to support and champion those programs.
The role of the athletic director is multifaceted in that not only do they have the role of scheduling all the games and make sure that all the teams are playing like opponents so that we don't have too many games where our teams are being destroyed by the other team and other games where we're winning by too much, but to make sure we have a balanced schedule. But then also to work with the coaches so that our coaches are actually teachers on the field or on the court or whatever sport they're playing, that in that venue they are teachers as well. And it's really the athletic director's responsibility to work with them and help them be teachers. Then also to work with kids to make sure that we have captains and we have meetings with captains about how to behave on the field, how to be leaders of your teams. So there's a lot of roles that go into being the athletic director besides just coordinating the buses and the fields and the games.
We have 4 buildings, 14 sports at the middle schools, 29 varsity sports at each high school, 175 coaches throughout the year. We are running 110 events a week in the height of our season. So a lot of that's management. That is making sure the schedules are set, making sure transportation is where they need to be, when they need to be there, having the officials at the games, making sure we're properly equipped, the facilities are set, uniforms are there. There's a big management component to this job to simply pull off the daily schedule.
So first of all, it's a big job. I always see the AD as being the #1 advocate, cheerleader for our program, to go out and kind of let everybody know what a good thing we have here and what a nice program we have for our athletes. There's a certain mechanical aspect to it. Like I always say, make sure the trains run on time, meaning do the buses come and pick up, are schedules done properly, do the officials show up to the fields, are the fields maintained? That's like the mechanical aspect of it. So there's that piece. And then the last part is, and probably the most important, is to help me hire teachers who are good coaches, who can teach our kids life lessons through athletics.
Well, we have the opportunity in this district to have students involved starting in 6th grade in athletics. Each season we have 1 sport for 6th graders to participate in, and primarily 7th and 8th graders for the other sports. We offer 14 a year at the middle school level. That's a great opportunity to have kids begin to learn the lessons that athletics can teach a child, and to begin to prepare to be successful in a high school athletic program, to begin to learn to balance their time, to begin to learn teamwork and perseverance, responsibility. And I think that it's ideal. For our high school coaches, they have the opportunity to go down to the middle school level and get to know the kids and encourage them to stay involved. Our middle school's coaching staff is exceptional. And I think that they are really doing a great job preparing our students for the high school. And I think that's unique. Not every district has that.
In my role as assistant superintendent, I'm working very closely with the athletic director on the assessment of our current programs, in looking at how do we assess our coaches and their effectiveness within our programs, and through communication between coaches and the athletic director, parents and the athletic director, so that we can really learn what people want to see in our programs and where we need to grow our programs or maybe even change our programs.
I think of student athlete in a very literal sense. It is student athlete. And the balance between those two roles is probably one of the more difficult jobs that high school kids have to do. We are a very academically oriented high school. So the student part of it almost should be with a capital S, because the demands on our kids of an academic nature are strong. In terms of the athlete, we also have nationally renowned athletic programs, and athletes from our program have gone on to win Olympic gold medals. So student athlete, it's all about balance.
Envisioning the middle school student as a student athlete, to me, it's a lot of that has to do with exposure. You're exposing children to all that is available. You're stimulating their passions. You're helping them to become well-rounded learners, because the skills that they use in athletics are skills that are transferable in the classroom.
As a former coach, assistant principal, high school principal, it's so important that when we say student athlete, we have a good understanding of what that really means. It's an athlete that's committed to academic excellence, someone who does not make excuses for the fact that they are an athlete, that would get in the way of their academic pursuits. Someone that's committed to their teammates and make sure that they reach all their accomplishments, again, academically, and upholds a high value for academics in their future.
You know, you take all the lessons you learned during the day and you come in after school and you have the opportunity to blow off a little steam and to spend some good time with your friends and to learn new lessons and to apply some of the things I think our teachers were trying to instill in us in the classroom. It is a balancing act, and I think for student athletes, we did not have the distraction of Facebook and Twitter and Snapchat when we were athletes, so I came home and I sat down and I did my homework. I didn't have the internet to distract me, so I think today it is even more of a challenge.
I've not met a coach yet who would not have a kid miss part of practice to make sure that he could catch up with a teacher or make up a lab, or to, if there's an opportunity for, some remediation in a class. I don't know of any coach that would say, oh no, don't go do that. But then also, like I said before, athletics is just a different classroom. When we think about the arts and we think about humanities, we think about the sciences or math, athletics is just another opportunity for students to learn more about themselves. And I do think that it's important, if you look at all the studies that have been done, when kids are in, or students are in season, in their sports season, while it seems like they have less time, they actually do better in school.
Sometimes I have to referee disputes between teachers and coaches in terms of demands on a student's time. So I have to talk to them about balance too. But I always think of that Latin phrase, mens sana in corpore sano, or sound mind, sound body. There's time for both, and there are times when one will take precedent over the other, but it has an ebb and flow to it that I have tried to work with our staff, both athletic and academic, on balancing, and also with our kids, because really, the choice is theirs.
There's a lot of opportunities for students. I don't know of many schools that offer as many opportunities as we do for our students. And I think the important part is there's an opportunity for everyone to be successful. And while a lot of people look at it as if, if you don't make the team, that it's a loss, there are opportunities where there are teams where there aren't kids that that get cut or are eliminated from the team. And some of the teams, they give opportunities for whether it be track or cross country. I mean, there are chances that you may not make a team, but there are opportunities for kids to run at maybe not the varsity level, but other levels. And I think it's important for them to understand, to learn about their body and taking care of their body. And it's also part of, learning about themselves in school.
When we do our 8th grade parent orientation for the program of studies and for school life here at High School North, I give the parents a quiz. The New Jersey State Interscholastic Athletic Association has championships in 29 sports. Here at West Windsor-Plainsboro, both north and south, we have 27 of those teams. Which are the 2 that we don't have? And I very rarely, after a while I think they figured out. The only 2 that we don't have are bowling and gymnastics. We have volleyball, which aside from West Windsor schools, nobody else in the Colonial Valley Conference has. We have fencing, which outside from South, our sister school, nobody else in the Colonial Valley Conference has. So we have the most variety in terms of our athletics of any school in Mercer County.
The variety of athletic teams in our district is quite remarkable. I believe we have the most in the state. It offers something for everyone, whether it's team sport, whether it's individual competition, or a mix there between. The reality is that we really honor and respect the opportunity for everyone to, all different types of sports to be played in our community.
I really feel that, especially with the advent of fencing and volleyball, that students who weren't a part of our athletic program now are. So there's such a wide range of activities. There's the traditional, and then there's the different ones like fencing and volleyball. And we get kids involved that in many other schools don't have the opportunity or the desire to participate on an interscholastic athletic team. But they get involved here because of the wide variety of sports that we have.
The parent is there to support, and the parent is there to cheer for the team and for his or her child. They did a study with college athletes after they graduated and asked them what was the worst part about being an athlete, and what they said was the ride home with their parents. And they said what was the best part about being a student athlete is when their parents said, "I love to watch you play." And I think that really encapsulates what the role of the parent should be. You're the cheerleader for the child, you root for the team.
I think the moments that make me proud are when we're most inclusive, and when we have maybe the child who still needs to build skill, but you see the teammates rally around their fellow teammate. And I've seen that evidenced in many things that we do. When they're the encouragers of their own on the team, when they can rally the troops in the spectators to encourage. I think it's that whole idea of spirit.
With 3,200 high school students, approximately 1,600 at each school, and a tremendous amount of student athletes, it's real important that parents are there to support, and they're there to encourage their students in competition. And it's important for parents to work with coaches in the school district to reinforce sort of lifelong lessons of what it means to play a game. At the end of the day, this is high school athletics, and while we hope for students to be able to go on to greater things beyond athletically, the reality is we want there's really important lessons that we can drive home if we work together.
Naturally, our parents, especially for the freshmen and sophomores, our parents are the chauffeurs, they are the cooks, they are the coaches in a lot of situations. They make financial and time sacrifices so that their children can participate in athletics because they see the positive things that come from it. We have to continue to offer the wide range of sports that we do so more and more kids can get involved. But we also have to involve the parents through the various booster clubs and various activities so they get an understanding of what our programs are like. It's a good partnership that we have with the West Windsor-Plainsboro community, and it's one that we're going to continue to work on fostering.
I think parents are an important part of all of our programs. But in the athletic area, I think where they become important is helping their child to manage their time and their commitment to the task. If I'm part of a team, I need to be committed. And that means I also need to balance schoolwork and the athletics. And parents very often are one of the key communicators in helping their child to do that, in maintaining communication with the coach, but also with the teachers. So parents play a critical role, but they also play a critical role in supporting our programs as boosters, and being present on the sidelines at the games, and encouraging and supporting their child.
One of the things I would like parents to know and to begin to value as much as I do is the impact that and the lessons that can be learned in athletics that will absolutely help their children succeed as adults. There is some excellent research coming out of like Stanford and University of Pennsylvania that the U.S. Department of Education has done recently on the impact of grit, perseverance, and tenacity on lifelong success. And they are beginning to research and argue that these non-cognitive factors can be as important as academic factors in life success. The ability to overcome obstacles, to face a challenge and persevere through the challenges. Some of my best student athletes as a coach were those who struggled at first. Struggled making the time run, struggled making varsity as a junior, and then now are thriving because it was hard for them, and they did have to learn that they're capable of anything that they set their mind to.
There's nothing more special than watching a team come together to achieve great victories, but it's also an amazing experience when you see a team struggle and then come back from great defeats. And as a principal, I had to make a decision to have a team disqualified for an incident, and the team went 0-3 to start the season, and they came back and won 9 games in a row and were the state champions. So they learned a very hard lesson in defeat and losing that game the way they did, but to come back and watch them win a state championship and the way they rallied together, and there was a huge lesson learned in that.
Being the first female athletic director at West Windsor-Plainsboro, I'm honored, obviously. I believed I was a good fit for this job, and I'm glad that everyone who was involved in the hiring process believed that as well. I've worked very hard in leadership, academic leadership, and in coaching to prepare for this opportunity. It's been a career goal of mine, and I'm honored to be here.
I do believe very strongly in a strong athletic program for middle school and high school, just as all the other programs are to be valued. I think that when we looked at, as a district, the 21st century competencies, I think all of these programs only add to student skill levels in all of those areas, in practical problem solving, in teamwork, in being flexible and self-directed. It adds to that because those skills are used in a different setting and then can be transferred from the athletic and activities to the classroom setting. So I think the research is clear that when students are engaged in more than just their studies, that their chance of success in the classroom is only increased.
For students to understand the importance of balancing any extracurricular activity and academics, or to understand why. Why do I, why have 14-hour days? Why extend myself in this way? What will I get out of it, and why is it important to do it? Research empirically states that student athletes have higher GPAs than non-athletes, and I would extend that to any extracurricular activity. I think kids putting in hours and hours in the marching band or in the orchestra or in the school play are in the same circumstance, where they are extending their day by hours and still have to balance the academic demands that are placed upon them in the classroom.
The opportunity for community to come together is incredibly important with sports. Sports brings an opportunity for the community to gather, to celebrate the accomplishments of our students, and all one has to do is go to a high school north, high school south game to see that come to light in our community. So yeah, athletics has a tremendous impact on the community.
I think the most powerful recognition for our athletes is when the adults in the building, their teachers, go to athletic events, see them, and then talk to them about it the next day. I always try to go to as many athletic events as I possibly can. I was fortunate enough to serve on the state executive committee for overseeing athletics with NJSIAA, and so I got a chance to see our athletes all across the state. And to see them the next day in school and then talk to them about that contest, how they did, that kind of recognition I think means more to them than just about anything that they can see in the paper.